I used to have so much fear, like in my body, about what's possible. Like there were times in my life where I literally couldn't get out of bed. Like I would wake up and I just didn't want to get out of bed, and I would pray for, I would just pray. I literally would pray and surrender. And the more that I surrender to life, the more life has facilitated these opportunities for who I am to actually emerge, for me to actually feel energized, to feel vibrant, for me to live from the inside out.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to season 2 of my podcast, formerly known as Soul Beauty and currently known as the Aruna Show. And I have two of my friends here, new friends that I just met, and they are staying at the same resort, which is called Synergy. We were all here for Envision Festival. If you haven't heard about Envision Festival, check it out on the socials to learn more about it. It's a holistic festival and music festival. I'm here more for the holistic stuff. And oddly enough, my guests, who are my two friends, Mathew and Austin, they were facilitators of a workshop here at the festival. And I just found that what they were here talking about was so interesting. And it also resonated with me personally and what I think or feel like I came on this planet to do. So without further ado, I want to introduce my two amazing guests and start talking a little bit about what they're about and their mission on planet Earth right here, right now, in this moment.
My name is Mathew Austin. You can call me Maddie. I have a pretty diverse background. So I actually went and got schooling in a few different areas: mechanical engineering, computer science, got my master's in robotics, and actually also have a pretty extensive background in music production, playing the piano, and even a big sales background too. And so what's cool is life has provided continuous opportunities to integrate all of these disciplines together over the last few years. And so now my primary role and calling is functioning as an integrator. Creating coherence across various disciplines, creating coherence in a singular system that has many different moving parts, or even just its groups of people, and creating full levels of integration at literally every level. So like from the highest spiritual level all the way to the most embodied and grounded level, how can we ensure everything's integrated and resonating together in a harmonic way? So that's me.
Yay.
Love you, brother. My name's Austin Terry. I grew up in California and went on a path to become a firefighter paramedic after college, and took some mushrooms and realized that I didn't want to do that, and that I was kind of following in the footsteps of my father. And so I quit that path. That was 6 years ago, and jumped into moving to Colorado. And we kind of started over a new life there. And for a couple of years, I had a CBD company. It's like holistic, regenerative agriculture for the hemp, and like it was a cool venture. And then I've been within the marketing agency for the last 3 years. 40-person team. We do SEO, paid ads, influencer marketing, email and SMS, website development, all the fun stuff. And I've kind of been working as an operator and also assisting with account management. And it's been a really great cocoon for growth and development within my own professional world, building some really solid skill sets, because I feel like the CBD company was more of like running in circles and learning a little bit about a lot of things. And this was an opportunity to really build some deeper skill sets. Yeah, since then, in the past few years, found festivals. And about 3 years ago, we met at a festival, Arcadia in Vegas, which is thrown by Aubrey Marcus. And from there, we just began to build community out in Boulder and Denver, Colorado. And it's been such an honor to meet so many amazing people, and we've woven together in so many unique ways. But ultimately, just like this constant heartbeat of every time we tap back into a festival, that's where we kind of come back together and like really get to reflect with one another how much we've grown since the last thing that we've done. And Unison Festival in Aztec, New Mexico, or like on the border of Durango, Colorado, was also a really huge point where we kind of centered our community as well. We just all happen to live in the same area.
Aubrey was here at Envision. Did you guys check out his workshop?
Yeah.
You
I
did?
got to hand him the mic, and
No
it was
way.
like such a full circle moment for
Yeah.
me. That festival that he threw was the first festival I'd ever attended, and it really anchored in this frequency that I'd never experienced before, which when it showed me that when people come together with deepest intentions of love and service to one another, and everyone's regulated in their nervous systems and we're all in our hearts, like the frequency that was held was what I would consider to be heaven on earth. And it inspired this entire vision that we're stepping into right now, and kind of was a seed that got planted and it's now taken much deeper root within both of our nervous systems, and something that we've shared with our community as well. And even was the inspiration behind the festival that we just threw a month ago, which is called Emergence.
Oh, you guys threw a festival?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where was it?
Boulder, Colorado.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, what size? How many tickets were sold?
About 140 people showed up.
That's excellent for a first-time festival, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats!
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
that's
it
amazing.
was a really huge moment that actually created this really synchronistic golden thread for us to land here and speak about what we're building with New Earth Collective. Like when I think about the pathway, it's absolutely insane just how things started and how they led to here. Kind of like Austin was talking about. We met at Arcadia, which Aubrey Marcus threw, and the first time that he threw it, he actually made it completely free, or rather, I should say donation based.
Right.
He made it donation based. So you could show up, and depending on your experience and how much value you got, you could then reciprocate that and give that back to him. And the energy behind that offering created such a potent container for people that honestly I'd say probably at the time maybe didn't have the means to go to that kind of event, were able to show up, and it really catalyzed and set some ripples into motion that I don't think we can fully see and really understand, right? Like we're just starting to feel that with what we're building.
Yeah.
And so from that inception point at Arcadia, and then Unison, through these really conscious festivals, that created portals for the formation of our communities, right? Which first started out in Boulder, Colorado. And then we started having pockets develop out in Austin, Texas, and in Lafayette, Louisiana, and just kept finding our soul family, our tribe at all these different festivals. And what these experiences illuminated as we integrated following the festivals was that when we offer our gifts in service of something greater than ourselves, in service of our communities, in service of the land, in service of the people that we love, that what naturally follows is our highest excitement, passion, bliss, joy, and all of that started from these festivals. So what we wanted to do was, one, create containers for people to meet in that capacity, but then also create systems that allow people to actually realize their highest joy and fulfillment through offering their gifts to the world and to their community. And so that's the big impetus behind what we're building. And the inception point for that was our first one-day mini festival called The Emergence, which we actually made donation-based as well, in inspiration of, inspired by what Aubrey had done.
Did.
And it exceeded all expectations. One of the coolest things that we got to experience was our community, our team, our family. We really unified in prayer leading up to the festival as well, and set some really, direct intentions for the energy that we wanted to create. And it honestly felt like a ceremony, like the whole time. We were constantly given invitations to grow, grow, grow. And then in the moment that we had the festival, we received so much feedback that that energy of heaven that we wanted to co-create was palpably felt.
Yeah.
And what's cool is from that, one of our friends, David Weber, heard Austin and I speak, and then opened up this invitation for us to bring this out to Envision. And there's this really cool synchronistic thread where, following, like in the weeks following that and getting that invitation, as we're figuring out the logistics, Austin's now visiting me in Austin, Texas, right? So we're moving away from Boulder now into Austin. And we're at this event, Soul Bloom. It was like a weekend dance party with some of our homies. And we meet this amazing human, Zoe, right? Now, what's cool about Zoe is she just started talking to me about this need for an app in the world, and like instantly, like I got full body chills. Like it was a huge activation, and I was like, I'm supposed to know you. Like I don't know why, but like I'm supposed to know you. Like you're meant to be in my life. Like so turns out the stage that we get invited to speak on at Envision, she's running it, right? And she needs a team to help run it. And so then we basically volunteered to help run the stage here at Envision.
Right.
So in addition to speaking and doing our workshop, we were able to facilitate the container, help out all the
Right.
speakers, get them,
Okay.
set up to deliver their message, and really hold this container of service where they can deliver what's inside their hearts. And that was truly magical, which then created this opportunity for Austin to literally hand the mic to Aubrey Marcus, in this
Right.
absurd full
Oh, so
circle
Aubrey's
moment.
workshop was at El Nido.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that you all had a big role to play in organizing the stage.
yeah.
Oh, I just thought you all were just attending the festival, but now that I pay attention, the bands are the Wick Exchange bands, right?
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
nice. I think the contribution-based ticketing system is actually really important for initiatives like what you guys are doing, especially for festivals, because I mean, for Envision, I know for a fact that a lot of people aren't able to afford the tickets, right? Thankfully, though, there are ways that through Work Exchange and volunteers and different ways, there are ways that amazing people who have so much to give could have access to this space. As you rightfully said, it's a space of so much synchronistic meetings. And speaking of synchronicity, my Instagram bio has had New Earth co-creator for over a year. They just happen to be staying in the same exact resort that I'm staying at. And mentioning casually, oh, we have this workshop coming up. And then I say, well, what is it about? And then Maddie tells me, oh, it's called New Earth Collective. And, the terminology, New Earth, we've been hearing it for a while. To talk about something and to take action, aligned action, to make that a reality is something completely different. Now that we understand what they're doing here and what New Earth Collective is about, we want to know now, I want to know now how.
Heaven on Earth it's not somewhere we go when we die. Like it's an internal state that we access, and something that is a shared resonance field between our hearts. And so when you're in that field and you are trapped in your mind, if you're attached to judgment, fear, expectation, control, if you're really living in this place, you're not able to feel into the frequency that is coexisting between us. And to me, it's an internal state of peace that we achieve inside. And then that peace is reflected back to us by other nodes that also that have the same peace within. And so Heaven on Earth is it's teamwork. It's a family job. Like we have to do this together, and it's not, each one of us is responsible for showing up from a place of deep unconditional love and service to the world around us. And we get to all own that together. And that to me is collective sovereignty, when we're all choosing to take a step forward towards something that we actually want. Most of the choices we make in this life are influenced by thousands of different variables that are happening in reality at all given times. And most of them are designed to distract, to extract, to pull us from the present moment, to pull us out of our hearts and our bodies and into our minds, let alone all the trauma and the darkness and the density that is keeping us from our awareness feeling able to access, like feel safe enough to come into our bodies. And so it really comes down to each individual doing their deep work so that they can actually witness and experience what this idea of heaven actually is. And it's like, it's funny because it's like we're just giving a name to it. Everyone's like, oh wow, the vibes were incredible, this is so amazing, I feel so connected to you. It's like, yeah, like that's what that is. Like, this is nothing that we haven't experienced in little pockets at different moments. It's just at the festival level, like in these places, after 3 days, you've removed the masks, you've surrendered to reality, and now you're tapping into your heart, into your gut, into your intuition, allowing your body, the divine supercomputer, quantum supercomputer that the body is, and getting out of the mind and just allowing this thing to move you and flow in this container. The festivals, so it really matters too who's building the container and what their intentions are. If their intentions are extractive, there's no way that they can hold that frequency. And so when we threw our festival, it was like, wow, we actually have an opportunity right now. Because we experienced it once, we knew it was possible. And now that we've done it once ourselves, we know that it's replicable. And so it really matters, every person, the people who are owning and running it, the people who are inside the festival, every single person gets to be the co-creator of that frequency and to hold it together. And so I know it went a little bit off tangent, but I just wanted to more clearly define what this frequency is that we're discussing, because I think that to a lot of people who have never felt safe enough to come into their hearts and to trust their own intuition, to actually experience that in real time firsthand, it can feel a little woo-woo and a little like, you guys are crazy, and like it doesn't actually land and resonate. It's something that's like a deep inner knowing.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, like, what do you say to someone who says, well, that's impossible, we try to change things all the time and things will never change? What do you say to the critics or the non-believers?
I feel like I've already seen change.
Mm.
I see it in my communities and the people around me. I see it in nature. And I see it in myself. I think that's a really big key, is just as personally as I've done my own inner work, the amount of miracles that have unfolded is just beyond words.
Mm.
I used to have so much fear, like in my body, about what's possible. You know, like there were times in my life where I literally couldn't get out of bed. Like I would wake up and I just didn't want to get out of bed, you know, and I would pray for, you know, I would just pray. I literally would pray and surrender. And the more that I surrender to life, the more life has facilitated these opportunities for who I am to actually emerge, for me to actually feel energized, to feel vibrant, for me to live from the inside out, independent of what my circumstances are. And it's come through plant medicine. It's come through my soul family, my brothers, my sisters. And it starts just simply with creating that permission slip. If you can just create one opportunity for that felt experience, I feel like it can change someone's life. And the change starts with our belief. It's impossible until we actually believe it's possible. And I think that's a big impetus behind why we do what we do, is to just give the world that permission slip to actually believe in something new. And on the idea of something new as well, you know, the whole terminology of the new earth, you know, in a lot of ways we we use that terminology because it's very well known, and it's something that people can grab onto, and it's permeated our new age culture in a way that when you say it, like, people instantly know what you're talking about, or they have an idea, they can feel it, and it's something that they want to get behind. But for me, it honestly feels more like a renewal, a resurrection of what's already here. A remembrance, yeah.
A remembrance, yeah.
A remembrance of the beauty that's already here, the bliss that's already permeating through, like, every aspect of this reality.
Yeah, no, I believe it's already happening. As you said, you're seeing it already. But I still can't, for me personally, especially coming from a little island in the Caribbean, it's hard for a lot of people to believe in something so bold, especially when life has challenges, right? But if it is true that we create our reality, then each of us has a level of autonomy or sovereignty to create our own individual reality. But here we are talking about the collective. And so if everyone makes up the collective, but half of the collective believes and half of the collective doesn't believe, I'm just saying half. It could be 60-40. It could be 70-30. I don't know. Then what are our chances of truly creating the new earth with some percentage not believing in that creation? And how does it apply to your mission?
Not everyone's going to make that choice. I think we should just be, like, really clear about that. What we're talking about is the choice between love and fear. Fear exists in the mind and love exists in the heart, and hell is created in the mind, and heaven is what is experienced through the heart. When this thing is holding on so tightly and doesn't want to let go, the heart is not able to experience or see the world that we're discussing or talking about. And not everyone's going to make that choice. And it's not my job, his job, your job, anyone else's job to do that work for them. It's just an invitation.
Yeah, so our job and our focus should be on our lives, our dharma, our belief systems, our communities. And then what do you say to somebody who now says, well, that's selfish?
I mean, I'm sure that the mirror could reflect back a million ways that they might be acting selfishly in their life as well.
Yeah.
And it's not like, that's not to point a finger. It's just like, we're all responsible for our own internal state.
Yeah.
And our own perspectives, our own beliefs. And so, like, I would say I'm so grateful and lucky and blessed to have achieved this level of perception that I can now hold a vision that's far grander or greater than, like, anything that I think a lot of humans could have ever imagined in the history. And we're at an inflection point where, like, if we don't start making a choice to harmonize with each other and with nature, we're going to lose. Well, we won't lose our planet. Our planet will lose us. We'll be eliminated. And so we're at a point now where it's like we get to make a choice. And I'm happy to field all of the questions and the disbelief, because I know that that's going to exist. And at the same time, the invitation is like, how much are you willing to let go? How much are you willing to surrender your life to your heart? And, do you have a relationship with the divine, with the universe, with energy, with God, whatever you want to call it? And are you willing to allow God to come through you? Mm-hmm. Am I willing to allow God to come through myself and get out of the way, out of my own mind, so that I can potentiate and create the reality that we can all share together, that is and that is in a harmonic resonance with our field and with the earth itself? Because if we continue to stay in a state of separation, not only from each other, but from the earth itself, we're going to continue to extract from it and destroy it the way that we have been for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah. Something I want to add on to about the, like, is that selfish, right? To be in this place of self-love. right? And like just being responsible for your own individual sovereignty and cultivating that outlook in itself is born from a place of fear, because love has no lack. Love is fully abundant. Any love that I give to myself expands my capacity to serve.
Right.
Right? And energy is fully reciprocal and always will move back and come back. Right? And so it's when I love myself and take that responsibility for my own individual sovereignty, the only thing that's ever resulted from that is just an
It's more
expansion of
love.
my capacity.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only thing that's happened is my ability to serve
It's better.
has increased.
Yeah.
And something I also want to touch on as well, because we've kind of drifted a little bit. You were asking how do we do this?
Yeah.
There's two things. First is like one regarding the internal work that I want to talk and extend an invitation to the listener, because so much of this is about belief. It's about what we
really
believe is possible. So how do you actually do that? One thing that radically, like absolutely transformed my life is this book called A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
Right? And then there's another book called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson that
A Course in Miracles and Return to Love.
Yeah.
Okay. Take note, guys.
Where she basically writes about A Course in Miracles. And what these things teach is that the way it defines a miracle is a shift in perception away from fear and back into love, right? And so miracles basically serve to rewire our brains, right? To rewire our minds, to rewire our whole like energetic blueprint to actually be able to vibrate in the reality that we're talking about. And one of the things it talks about is that miracles are always available to those who ask. One's not bigger or smaller than the other. All miracles are maximal. And all you have to do is ask. You simply ask. And so if you are struggling to believe, struggling to feel that this is actually a possibility for reality, simply ask of life to show you. If you really want that, right? I can probably say most people out there listening would want to live in a world of unconditional love. So ask life to show you unconditional love. Ask for the fucking miracle. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
It's available right here, right now. And the only thing that's holding you back is your resistance to opening up to it. So now on to some more tangibles for the how.
Yeah.
Right? I think another important aspect is simply listening to nature. Because once you start to move beyond the fear, well, then new possibilities for exchange, energetic exchange open up, like this ways of reciprocal abundance. Our relationships with money can shift, right? But first, fear has to be eliminated in order for that to happen. What I mean is like, how can you have this like whole donation-based scheme and things work out? Like that just doesn't work in our current model of society. And yet I've seen people execute it in ways that have worked for them. One of our really good friends, Austin West, who founded this company called Entheos, which is they provide microdosing capsules and functional mushroom blends. They have a donation-based model where it's not fully free, but what they do is they have a fixed point, I think $70 for a package that they'll normally offer. And they ran this experiment where you could choose your discount, like up to, I think like almost 50% off, or you could donate over. And after running that for several months, what they found is some people had to leverage the discount in order to utilize it. Some people donated over and gave more, and their average came out to be the $70 that they were targeting for it, right? And so that's already just a perfect use case. The reason that this is so important is, again, if we're modeling things off of nature, right? Like when the sky rains and then that nourishes the plants and the flowers blossom, the sky is not asking for the flowers to send water back to the sky. And that's how we relate with money. But because of that, we restrict the ability for the energy to move forward into life and permeate and actually like expand outward.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, because when it rains and then the flowers blossom, their beauty illuminates into the world, and then the bees can like go get their nectar, and then the circle of life continues, and then
It's
somehow
all
like that filters
interconnected
back to like
somehow.
where the water, like there's all these cycles, right? The water ends up back in the sky again
Somehow.
eventually, right?
Yeah.
But we have to let go enough and trust in each other enough, right, in order for that to happen. And I mean, I'm not going to say that's easy, right? Again, it takes this big release from fear. We have to trust in each other in order to open up that possibility. But it is available to us.
I've been looking at you guys' website, right? And I'm seeing that there are so many the options and spaces for everything and everyone to contribute, to be a part of building this new earth. Tell me a little bit, so that we can close maybe on this note, so that we can turn some non-believers into believers, right? Tell me a little bit about what you see, which exists today. It's not something in the future. It's here already. But what would a typical day in a small community look like as we build this new earth?
So like, I think that this is kind of the end goal of like where we're heading.
Yeah.
We want to act as a bridge to that world that you're talking about. Because
Yeah.
right now we're existing in two worlds. We're like, wow, like my consciousness is expanded and I'm like, I can feel these components, but then I go back to this reality that's like, I gotta pay bills and I'm in survival and I can't like, it's like
Dude.
stuck between two worlds.
Yeah.
And so what we want to be is the bridge to the world that we want to go live in. And in that future moment, like that end point or end goal, like to me, and this doesn't have to be everyone's view of what the new earth like means to them, but I want to live on land with my community, raising our kids together, growing our own food, and just being tapped into connection to nature, to each other, and to God. And we get to live life the way that humans are meant to live life, and not be in an extractive model that is constantly dysregulating us and separating us from each other and keeping us from the connection to love that is there underneath the surface, just waiting to be unearthed.
Perfectly said, Austin. Perfectly said. And with that, to finally close off, I want to know, and the audience wants to know, how can we get in contact with you all? How can we volunteer? How can we contribute? And how could we be a part of building the new earth?
Yeah, so join newearthcollective.com. Right now we're building an application, right, to, again, the goal is how do we create systems that actually facilitate people being reciprocated for offering their gifts to community. And essentially what we're building is a decentralized community connection platform for resource sharing. One of the important things that we want this to be is emergent, because that's how nature operates. And in order for it to be emergent based off of the pressure conditions, like the needs of the people we're serving, well, we need your information. And so we have a questionnaire available on joinnewearthcollective.com that will directly impact how we build this application.
And just to be clear, this is open to anybody, even if you're outside of the United States.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Earth.
not the new. It's not the new U.S.
Yeah.
It's the new Earth, Aruna. Okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that I want to like just kind of add as just a little disclaimer, cherry on top, like when we think about like what this will look like, I don't think it's going to be like a full regression right back to like tribalhood, like that way of being. For me, it feels more like we'll still have our modern technologies available to us.
Oh yeah.
But the powers is going to be decentralized to communities, and that's like the goal with this app is, which is kind of, this is the real new aspect of it, is like we're going to be, if we can create a ecosystem and structure and infrastructure for like decentralized harmonization of communities worldwide.
Yeah, I think that was a super important point that you all spoke about in the workshop as well, is that we're not trying to fight with technology or be away from artificial intelligence or anything. The idea is to work in cohesion, in alignment, together, and have AI and technology and advancements and everything work for humanity and with humanity, and have humans control it in the way that is best for everyone and the full ecosystem and the full eco community. And I think that's a dream. That's the ultimate dream, right? So, to really just close off this time, we're going to put all the information in the caption below. And I encourage everyone to volunteer, to check it out, to take part. And at the end of this episode, which is now, we have a beautiful video that shows the dream. And it's you guys' video. Who worked on the video?
Daniel Alexander.
Daniel Alexander. Okay, so he's part of the New Earth Collective, right? Okay, so shout out to Daniel for doing this amazing video. Guys, I encourage you, just look at it. It's one of the best videos I've seen that could really describe and communicate exactly the vision of this new earth and what we're all here for and what we have to believe in and what we have to work towards.
Civilization was born from an idea, a dream whispered between those who could imagine more than survival. But beneath their dream was fear. Our ancestors abandoned the sacred, sacrificing the way of the heart for power. Their dream of endless growth, of conquest, of dominating nature has brought us here, trapped in a world promising freedom through control. And yet, beneath the noise, another dream stirs. It is the dream of a new earth, a world that honors nature, not as a resource to be consumed, but as the divine orchestrator of life itself. We will imagine a civilization that wields technology, not to extort from nature, but to harmonize with her, by creating ecosystems that nurture instead of dominate, by gathering in communities that restore instead of consume. This new earth will not be built by governments or corporations. It will be built by us. The new earth is not built by revolution or violence. It is born in the quiet revelation of the heart, remembering that we are the creators of our reality, not the subjects of someone else's. This realization will ring in a new era. An era born from our decision to stand sovereign, no matter the circumstances, reminding each other to live in celebration of what it means to be human. As we remember why we chose to be here, we will transcend the wheel of karma that has been keeping us in the illusion of separation. The truth is, the new earth is already here, sprouting from seeds in the collective unconscious, growing as a grassroots movement that will birth heaven on earth. We are living through a great reset, where technology will reshape the fabric of our society, giving us the opportunity to build anew. The old systems will fall away, not by destruction, but by irrelevance. As we evolve out of our infancy, we will reimagine what life on Earth can be, if only we learn to exercise our divine power of choice. We will free ourselves from centralized power by building self-sustaining villages that use technology, not as a tyrant, but a tool, not as a distraction, but a bridge, linking the digital with the natural and the individual with the collective. It is not a utopia. It is the celebration of life on planet Earth.
So with that said, I'm Aruna Maraj. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you at the next episode.